Hey guys, welcome back to another Python tutorial for beginners. In this video we're going to cover list and list functions. So a list is a collection data type in Python, and the big thing to know about a list is that it's a way to hold a bunch of elements, right? And in a list you hold them in a certain order, meaning they're ordered and they're also changeable. So when you load elements into a list, they'll remain in the order that you place them in, and if you need to change any of them, you can do that. So let's go ahead and open up. I've got PyCharm opened up already to our Programming Vault project, and I'm going to go ahead and just create a list. We'll call it color list, and then we will set this equal. So when you make a list, you enclose it in square brackets, and you just put orders one right after the other. So I'm going to put red, and then I'll put green, and then I'll put blue, and then I'll put yellow, then I'll put orange and black. So that should create a whole list of those elements, and you can tell that the data type of these are strings, right? It will create a whole list of those elements in that order, and we can print it by just telling it we want to print the color list. Let's run that. And yep, see how it printed it? Exactly in the same order as we created it. It printed it as a list. So a list is indexed like strings that we looked at before. So each element in this list is indexed starting at 0 and running to size -1. So the index for this list would be 0 for red, 1 for green, 2 for blue, 3 for yellow, 4 for orange, 5 for black. So this list has 6 elements in it that are indexed from 0 to 5. Right? So you can use the index to access items. So what if we just went in here and said print color list, and we gave it an index of 0? I would expect that to print out red, and it does. Or we could give it an index of 1, and I would expect that to print out green, right? So forth. You could go all the way down through the index of 5, which will be the last one, not 15, but my goodness, but 5, and that should be black. And it does print out black. So that's how you create a list of elements that are indexed from 0 to size -1, and you can access the value of each element by using its index. You can also do something called negative indexing, and negative indexing means you start at the back, and this first one will be indexed as -1, -2, and so forth. So if we print out color list with a index of -1, it does give us black. If we give it an index of -3, it gives us yellow, -1, -2, -3, right? Excuse me. So you can also give it a range of indexes, right? So we could print out color list, and we could put a range in here, 1:4. Now, let me go ahead and print this out and show you the result of it, and then we'll talk about it. So you notice it printed green, blue, and yellow. So what this range means, and it's a little confusing, so kind of try to pay attention here. So the first number is the index that it's going to start at, which is 1. So 0, 1. It's going to start at green. And 4 is the number of the elements it's going to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes through yellow. This last number is not an index. That's the number that it's going to go through. So it starts at 1 and goes through the 4th item. Starts at the index of 1 and goes through the 4th item. 2, 3, 4. Right? So it does print green, blue, and yellow. And that's how you can use ranges with a list. It's a little confusing, but you just need to know it. Probably don't really do it that often, but that's how it works. Next, if you want to change the value of any number in this list, you can just go, let's say we want to change the value of green. So we'll put the index of that, and then we'll say we want to set it equal to purple. Right, so that should create the list. Now if we just print the color list, you should see that green is replaced with purple. Let's go ahead and run that and make sure. Yep, see, now it's red, purple, blue, yellow, orange, black. So that's how you can go through any index. I could have put 2 and change blue to purple. You can do any element. You can change any element by its index to any value that you want to change it to. You can also check to see if a certain value exists. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of this. And so if I want to check the colorless list to see if a particular value is in there, I can, for instance, say if red in color list, and we'll print the colors in the list, and then we'll go ahead and give it an else just so we know. Else print color is not in the list. So let's give that a shot. We're going to run this and see if it thinks red is in the list. Oh, I still have that print statement in, but yes, it says the color is in the list, and that's true. So what if we change the color to purple? Now let's see what it says. The color is not in the list, right? Because remember, we took out the line that changed green to purple. So when you run this again, it's a whole new application. So we created a list, and then we just checked to see if purple was in it, and it is not. Right? So that's how you can check to see if things are in a list. Okay, so the next thing we can do is we can start using some list functions to find out information about our list. And we're going to use, the first one we're going to look at is going to be the length function. And the length function just looks like that, right? So we can do a print statement to find out the length of our list. And the length of our list is the number of elements in it. So we can just do print, and then we can put in the length function, len, and then inside the parenthesis for the length function, we'll just put color list. And now when we run this, it should get the length or the number of elements in color list and print that out. And it does. We have 6 items in there. So there are a whole bunch of list functions that you can use to do that. So what if we decide now that we want to add purple to the list, right? We can append it to the list. So if we say color list dot append, right? Append is another list function that lets you just add an item to the back of the list. And let's say we want to append purple, and then we'll go ahead and print the color list out again just to make sure it works. So you see here the first line, we're creating this list of 6 items, and then we're going to append purple to it, and then we'll print the list out and see what it looks like. It should print out a list with 7 items, yep, and purple on the very end. So that's how you add an element to a list, is using append that adds it to the back of the list. Now if you wanted to put it in a particular place, you can use something called insert, and you can insert a value based on a particular index. So what if I wanted to add the value of pink? So let's go, we're finished with append. So what if I wanted to insert the value of pink at index 2 to make it the 3rd one? So we'll do color list dot insert, and inside here first we have to give it the index, which is 2, and then we'll give it the value pink. So and then we'll print it out, and we should notice that again we'll have 7 items, and the 3rd one will be pink. And that's true, we do have 7 items, and then inserted pink at index 2, which is a 3rd place 0, 1, 2 in there, and it just shifted everything over. So that's another way that you can add items to your list. Firstly, you can append, which just adds it to the end of the list, or you can insert at a particular index, and it'll insert it there and shift everything around for you. So you can also remove elements from your list, and there are a few ways to do this that does different things. So the first way you can do it is just by removing it by knowing the value, right? If you just say, hey, I want to take black, or I want to take blue out of this list. So if you want to do that, you just use the remove function. So you do color list dot remove, and you just put the value in there that you want to remove. And that's not working for some reason. Oh, it's because I had a typo in color list, right? See that? Remember we talked before that it's case sensitive, right? I had color list with a lowercase l and it didn't recognize it. So all your variable names are case sensitive. But getting back to it, this should remove blue from our color list. And when you print it out, yep, it's one smaller and blue is not there. So that's how you do it if you know the value that you want to get rid of. You use the remove function. You can also, if you know the index that you want to get rid of, you can use another function. You can use the delete function, and you just use that as del. So let's, instead of removing blue, let's say we want to delete, and we'll put at index 1. And I just did that wrong. If you do it like this, sorry. Put color list, and then we'll put index 1. Okay, my mistake. So this is how you use the delete function. You put del, and then in parentheses you put what you want to delete. And in here we put the name of our list with the index of 1. So let's see if it does in fact delete green from this list. And it does, yep. Another thing you can do is called pop. And what pop does is it just removes the last element. It like just pops it from the list. So in this case, if we just went in and put color list dot pop, we should see that it prints a list without black on it. It'll just remove the very last element from your list. And it did. So that's the third way. Right? The first way is if you know the value, you can use the remove function. If you know the index, you can use the delete function, the del. If you just want to remove the last one, you can just do a pop, color list.pop, and then I'll remove the last value. Right? You could do it twice even. And that should remove the last two values. It does. Right? And then the last way to remove elements from a list, go ahead and get rid of one of those, is to just use the clear function. And what clear does is it will delete all the elements in your list. Now we have an empty list, right? So those are the ways that you can use to remove elements from your list, those 4 ways, right? Also, something you might want to do is you might want to copy a list, right? So then maybe you could do some kind of computations or manipulations on it. So let's say we've already created our color list, and now we want to make a new list. And we'll just call it new list, and we'll say equals list. We're going to use the list function itself to do this, and then in here we're going to use color list. So we're going to make a new list. We're going to make a list called new list, which is actually a copy of color list, and then down here we'll print out the new list to make sure it works. So let's do that real quick. And it does. So that's how you copy a list. You can copy a list as many times as you want to just by using the list function. Just making a new variable name, using the list function, and then placing inside that the list that you want to copy. And you can also concatenate lists, and this is pretty interesting. Let's make a couple of different lists to do this and just have a look at it. So let's say if we make a list called a list, and we set that equal to 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll make a list called B list and set that equal to 4, 5, and 6. Now we will make a new list called C list and make that equal to A list plus B list. And then we'll print out C list to see what it looks like. And it should be those two lists concatenated together. And it is. See, it made the complete list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by concatenating these two lists together. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, let's just keep a list here. And we're going to print that out in a second. You can reverse a list. So we can do a list dot reverse, and then we'll print it out. So instead of printing out 1, 2, 3, it'll print out 3, 2, 1. And that's how you can reverse a list. So I hope you found this helpful. I've had a good time going back through and making this video. So we looked at lists and why they're important, and a bunch of different list functions that you can use to manipulate the elements that you have inside a list. If you did find it helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe, and that way you'll get notified when I make a new video. And there are more types of lists that we're going to look at in the future as well. Notice that I said this list is ordered and changeable. There's also something known as a tuple, which is ordered and unchangeable, but we'll look at that in a new video. For now, I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.